rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire. Like the bright shining light. Love. Getting more out of life. Love. Sharing time with friends. Feeling so strong.
Hello and welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Jo Stanley here alongside our resident MD, Dr. Nick Carr. Welcome to the inner sanctum of the House of Wellness, Nick.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks, Jo. As you can see, I'm not Darcy, but I'm very happy to be filling in for a couple of weeks.
It is lovely to have you here and here to deliver the latest in groundbreaking health news. Great to see you also, Jackie Felgate.
Hello, Jo, and welcome, Nick.
Lovely to see you, Jackie.
Great to have you with us. And this week I have a mixed bag of stories, starting with news of a major breakthrough that could save thousands of Australians from deadly skin cancer. Scientists in Adelaide are working on a new injection they believe could wipe out dangerous melanoma cells. They've identified a protein within the most aggressive melanomas, which they believe can now be targeted and destroyed. Researchers are describing the new treatment as a heat-seeking missile that can be injected into the blood.
Well, I think this is fantastic because Australia has the highest rate of melanoma in the world, and I think sometimes people can be a little bit complacent about skin cancer, even though it's actually a potentially fatal cancer. I myself have lost someone very dear to me from skin cancer. So, Nick, tell me what, up until now, has been the treatment option?
So up until now, it's been surgery, which can be really quite nasty, and there's a new thing called immunotherapy, and we've come a really long way in the last 10 years. But any new treatment that's going to make this easier for us, an injection treatment, that would just be wonderful.
Absolutely, and the treatment is being developed at the University of South Australia, and it's hoped the advances being made can also be applied to other types of cancer. Now, this month is Plastic Free July, a global movement working towards getting rid of plastic. So there's a lot around on the environment at the moment, but this study out of France is really interesting. By using virtual reality headsets to track people's reactions, they've discovered that adding colour and greenery to concrete cities has a notable positive effect on residents' moods. Participants in the study walked more slowly and their heart rates decreased when they saw greenery in urban settings. Adding more colour to a concrete jungle made people more curious and alert. This does not surprise me, guys.
No, not at all. We all know that it's much nicer to walk through a green space than like a concrete jungle, but wouldn't it be nice if we actually took that out of virtual reality and made it real reality?
So there's already a push to green up cities around the world, cool them down and combat climate change. But this proves that nature and colour can positively impact people in an immediate and physiological way too. And it's true, isn't it? Because I see that green building and I can always relax. My blood pressure goes down.
And I think if you go to somewhere like Singapore as well, the Garden City, you see it's a concrete jungle, but they've made this huge effort to bring the environment into the actual CBD there. And it's beautiful buildings that are totally covered in plants. It's amazing. And finally, an update following our interview with Dr. Warwick Teague from the Royal Children's Hospital about the dangers of those small coin-sized button batteries. You would have heard about them to children. Businesses that supply button batteries or any products powered by them now face mandatory safety standards or serious penalties for failing to comply. Products must now have secure compartments to stop children accessing the batteries and must be sold in child-resistant packaging with warnings and emergency advice clearly visible on the batteries, packaging and instructions.
I absolutely love that they're doing something about this, because it must be so frustrating as a GP to have kids come in with these sorts of things that are totally preventable.
And it's so obvious for a kid, isn't it? There it is, it's shiny, it's round. Why wouldn't I? Yum!
And children are very difficult to keep a handle on. They're into everything. It's
true.
Thank you so much, Jackie. We'll see you again in a bit to talk about your number one passion, horses.
Bringing them into the show.
I have tried a little bit of equine therapy and I know firsthand the effect they can have on our emotional well-being, so I'm really looking forward to that story. But up next, model mum Alison Bray-Dado is here to celebrate the ups and downs of female ageing. That's here on the House of Wellness. Now, Nick, not everyone would say this, but I actually love getting older. Now, sure, life after 40 can bring lots of different stresses and demands at work, at home, with your family. You're caring for parents and kids, and your body's different. That's a bit of a challenge, I must say. It comes with wrinkles and sleepless nights and, you know, the odd whisker. Like, if you ever see me doing this, that's what I'm doing. I'm fondling a whisker. But it also comes with wisdom and life experience. And I think it's a real privilege, right? So what's your take on ageing, Dr. Nick?
Oh, well, I'll let you know when I get there.
Nice.
No, but I really love your positive approach to it, because we have to embrace it, because, frankly, what's the alternative? For me, I now have to treat this temple, my body, a little bit like an older car. You know, just have to look after it a little bit, not thrash it quite so hard, and maybe get it serviced a bit more often.
It's a time when looking after your health becomes top priority as well. And here to back my belief that life's party starts at 40 and beyond, welcome model, mum and author Alison Bray-Datto.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's lovely to have you on the House of Wellness. You know, my generation of woman knows you and loves you as the cover girl. And I wonder if it's different having been a model. So what does ageing mean to you?
Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years, but I mean, mostly I just feel incredible amount of gratitude that I've made it to 52 even. And I'm excited for the rest of my life. I feel like at 52, I've still got more that I want to do. And if I want to go in different directions, I can. And I feel so much more free and empowered than I ever have, actually.
So you can't embrace this age without getting through, of course, the life stage of perimenopause and menopause. And you literally wrote the book on the subject. How did it begin for you?
Perimenopause. A change in my cycle was the first thing I noticed. And then the sleepless nights hit. Then the hot flushes kicked in. Then it was a bevy of symptoms after that. There was body aches, there was brain fog, there was depressive episodes, there was anxiety, what else did I have? Dry eye syndrome. So it kind of snowballed. They didn't all hit at once, but the first symptom was the change in my cycle.
Nick, it's such an interesting thing to hear that list of symptoms, because most of those symptoms you wouldn't attribute necessarily to menopause. You never see that written about.
It's so personal, isn't it?
Yes.
What you've described, it's a variety of symptoms, and none of these are easy. And it's not surprising women don't find it easy going to a doctor to ask about this, because we're talking about mood changes, sleep, skin, hair, even sex changes.
Yep, that's right. That's right. And there's so much at our age too that's happening as well. You know, and I think as women we do so much. We ignore our symptoms so often because we've dealt with period pain or endometriosis or, you know, whatever we've gone through with pregnancy and beyond. So I think it's far too common that we ignore what we're feeling and don't go to the doctor, don't get it checked out.
So what made you decide to share your experience?
It was because I was so shocked by it all. And no one had told me that this is the possibility of what may happen. And as I say, I have girlfriends that are older than me. I'm the youngest of 3 sisters. And no one had said anything about menopause. No one had said that you might have this, you might have that. And certainly no one had told me about the post-menopausal years where things get better. It doesn't last forever. You will get through it. Like, all of that stuff was really, really important to me to write about, talk about, and be as honest as I possibly could.
So let's talk about the physical changes of perimenopause, like weight gain.
Yeah.
Was that a difficult thing to confront?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's been hard, and it's still hard at times. You know, I still lament it, like those size 8 jeans I used to wear. I'm like, ooh, they're long gone. Yeah, but, you know, it's sort of like I've just come to the point where it's like, this is my body shape now, and it's healthy, and this is what I am. But it's incredibly confronting to go from, if I exercise more, if I diet a little bit more, I'll drop the weight. No, not so with this one. No matter what I did, no matter how I worked it, it was there to stay.
And let's talk about sex, because you mentioned the reduction in libido, which can be a real thing. There's also the effect when you take the estrogen away, you get that vaginal dryness. That combination is not great. How did you cope with all that?
Well, look, For me, it was just libido. It just went out the door. There was just, and it was really, it took a real toll on the relationship because, as I say, my husband's love language is physical touch. And that's why he loves to connect. And for me, I didn't want any physical touch. Like, I didn't want cuddling or hand holding or anything. I was too hot, I was too angry, I was too depressed, and really didn't understand what was happening in my body for so much of it. So it was a real battle for the two of us for some time, and it really, we ended up seeing a therapist because that was a concern. We weren't sure if we were going to make it. But the biggest thing that helped us was, of course, communication. The more Cam understood what was going on physically, the more information I got, I would keep passing it on to him. And then once we kind of went, okay, we're on the same team and we can have menopause over there. So it's the you and I against menopause. So what do we do in order to, work with what's happening physically for me? And then it started it felt so much easier that the pressure was gone.
It's absolutely critical, I think, and you make this point in your book as well, that we get the help that we feel we need.
Yes.
And don't be shy about that.
Yeah.
What worked for you?
I went to a hormone specialist, and I also went a doctor who was a hormone specialist, and I also went to my naturopath. That's something that I've always done, treated things a lot naturopathically. But I know that coming in with writing your list of symptoms and having the symptoms on a piece of paper, particularly the ones that are the hardest ones to deal with, and going in and saying, this is what's going on for me, what can you do to help? And luckily, my two doctors were really on the ball. They were fabulous. And I would suggest if you're dismissed by your doctor or if it's just given an antidepressant or something, no, that's not good enough. Find someone that's going to spend the time with you and talk to you and go through that list of symptoms.
That's such an important point because, of course, there are medications that can help with menopause.
Yes.
Hormone replacement can be very effective.
Very effective.
Sometimes you say antidepressants, but you mentioned two other things which are so important. Counselling, so getting some psychological help, whether it's for you individually or for the couple.
Yeah.
And then natural treatments. There are foods that can help with menopause.
Yes.
So there are lots of things you can do. It doesn't have to be medications from a doctor.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I think it's such an individual thing and, do your research, find out what's right for you. But there's a lot of help out there, which is the good news.
And the wonderful thing is that we are talking about it now, and I really hope that the stigma is reducing, that there should be no stigma around this. Well, the book is called Queen Menopause. I absolutely loved it. It got me through quite a stopover in an airport, and it's really wonderful, Ali. And it's it's raw and honest, and really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for coming in today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, regular viewers will know that Darcy and I are absolutely obsessed with our dogs. Darcy has Dennis, I have Daisy the Labrador, and they get almost as much airtime as we do, I have to say. Dr. Nick, are you an animal-mad pet owner? You kind of have to be on this show.
Well, this is one place where I can match Darcy because I have two dogs.
OK.
So I have Sam and Rosie.
And what are Sam and Rosie?
They are Border Collie Poodle.
They're so fluffy. Yeah. Oh, they're beautiful dogs.
Yes, people call them Bordoodles. I call them Collie-Wally Doodles.
I love it. Dr. Nick, dogs are being used to sniff out COVID in hospital emergency departments, and service animals are like literal lifesavers when they alert parents to kids having seizures, or, of course, we see, assistance dogs steering vision-impaired people around busy streets. They give us so much, don't they?
Well, we know that animals are good for health. There are plenty of scientific studies show they bring down blood pressure, they bring down heart rates, reduce the stress-related hormone cortisol. And animals also give us that social support and that boost to our general mood.
Oh, well, this leads us to your favourite topic, Jack, horses. Now, Not so long ago, I actually did do a horse therapy session. It was actually equine-assisted learning. It was amazing.
Horses pick up the most amazing things from us. They almost understand what we're thinking when they're around us. It's absolutely amazing. And one of my favourite organisations is called Racing Hearts. It's the first organisation of its kind in Australia, and it is such a special place. Here, retired racehorses find a new home and lease on life alongside humans who are in need of some comfort and joy.
I think horses know something about us that we're never, ever going to be able to measure. I mean, we have lots of evidence that's been taken that horses can synchronise their heartbeat with us from 5 metres away. I mean, that in itself would show how sensitive horses are to our body language.
As a psychologist and equine therapist, Lisa Coffey is just as passionate about healing people as she is about healing horses.
So if you just remember, they're herd animals, so they like to be with their friends. So we want them to be able to see each other as often as possible. Land gently. Okay.
I think what's really special is that the horses they're just non-judgmental, and they will often respond to us how we respond to them. So it helps us to be calm, it helps us to express love, it helps us to express feelings.
Yeah. Relax your legs, because you're clamped like this. Yeah. Take a few really big out breaths for me.
Lisa is the founder of Racing Hearts, an equine-assisted therapy practice on the Mornington Peninsula, where retired racehorses are given a new lease on life and clients are offered a very different form of therapy.
We have a team of mental health professionals, so we have psychologists, counsellors and psychotherapists, and they work with members of our community who might have mental health problems or dealing with stress. Instead of in a room-based setting where we have 4 walls, we work with our clients out here on the farm, working with our team of retired racehorses.
That's it, you don't have to make a big circle. Good job.
Biologically, we know that when people are in contact with animals, we have a natural release of endorphins. So we have those feel-good hormones and relaxation hormones like oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. So what it means for our clients is that they are in a much more relaxed state when they're with the horses. And then the therapist can work with them in a therapeutic way because they feel more comfortable talking about their challenges.
So you can see how important those out breaths are, those breathing exercises that we do. They're really good for helping your nervous system to slow down, just calm yourself down, and then in turn, that helps your horse calm as well.
For this group of students from Mount Eliza Secondary College, a new Racing Hearts program is giving them an opportunity to not only learn about themselves, but develop new skills for their future.
So the advantage that we have for the students here is that they're engaged in a Cert 2 in racing industry, which means we're teaching them how to work with racehorses. And also they're locked into a 12-month mental health program with us, learning how to understand their emotions, regulate them and express them in healthier ways. Not only do they have healthier relationships with people in their lives, but from an employer's point of view, they'll be able to stay engaged in employment.
All right, so remember, don't tease them, Bridget, so just walk straight up to the bucket. Because if you're hanging around with the bucket, they'll come to you.
I love working with horses. It's improved my mental health and pretty much everyone in the program's mental health by heaps and heaps. You know, like we're all so much happier and so willing to come to class every day and work with these horses and just learn something new.
I always feel really nice coming here, and even when I feel down, I always end up springing back because something fun will happen, and it's changed so much of my life. I'm so much calmer now, and I'm so much more excited to come to class. And yeah, it's just an amazing program, and I love it so much.
Rain, hail or shine, they never fail to show up to the Racing Hearts program. And for children who've experienced trauma, equine-assisted therapy can have incredible outcomes.
Some of the children that come here that have selective mutism start to talk to the horses. And from that then, the therapist can start to engage in conversations with the kids. I mean, I pinch myself sometimes when we actually see the changes in people, and I have to really do well to try and hold it together when we're in session, and the other therapist will say exactly the same thing. Whatever it is that the horses offer to us and whatever it is that the students and the clients can offer back to the horses, it just becomes a really, really special and therapeutic healing relationship.
Our body is a complex structure, GQ. Organs, tissues, cells, but there is no denying that one of the most fundamental elements is our bones.
They do so much for us, Heinzie, all 206 of them. Bones provide shape and support for our body, they keep our organs protected, and they're a storage site for minerals and blood cells.
And how do we repay them? We go and break them by climbing trees, playing sports, or a little bit like me, being generally clumsy.
Accidents do happen, but when it comes to taking care of our bone health long term, we can turn to the essential fat-soluble nutrient, vitamin K.
Now, there's two types of this vitamin found in our diets. Vitamin K1, which can be found in leafy green vegetables like spinach, and vitamin K2, which can be found in fermented foods and animal products.
Vitamin K2 in particular is a contributing factor to our bone strength and integrity. Research suggests that it may reduce the risk of bone fractures in conditions like osteoporosis, which may occur later in life.
Better absorbed than its counterpart, vitamin K2 supports our blood health by helping our blood clot. Now, I know that sounds like a bad thing, but it actually prevents excessive bleeding.
Now, in addition to foods, vitamin K2 is also available in a convenient supplement form.
Now, GQ, have I got a joke for you?
Oh.
What do skeletons say when they head out to sea?
Goodbye?
Nope. Bon voyage.
Oh, it's getting worse.
No, you love it.
No, I don't.
Oh, come on.
No.
Fist bump?
No.
Yeah, I knew you'd get one.
The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Go Healthy's Go K2, a convenient one-a-day formulation to help support strong, healthy bones.
Heinzie and GQ lending their support to keeping our bones healthy and bringing a daggy dad joke as well. Don't you love that, I have to say? And you've got a stack of them too, Dr. Nick, I understand, for your daughter Isabel.
Knock, knock.
Oh, what? Who's there?
Woo.
Woo-hoo.
Don't get too excited. It's just a dad joke.
Oh, my God. Why do I laugh? I can't help it, though.
That's dad jokes for you.
One of my all-time favourite dads and health professionals is British Dr. Michael Mosley. The best-selling author has been on a long-time crusade to change the way we eat and think about food in a bid to prevent diet-based diseases like diabetes.
Now, diabetes is on the rise globally, and it's absolutely no laughing matter. And about 95% of people with diabetes have type 2. Now, type 2 runs really strongly in families, but the good thing is it's treatable, and even better, it is preventable if we keep our weight down and keep exercising.
Well, audiences here recently got to see Michael in action as he put our eating and lifestyle habits under the microscope in his landmark doco-series, Australia's Health Revolution. I caught up with the medico who's on a mission to reverse the global diabetes epidemic. Last time we spoke, you had just shot your doco in Australia about the diabetes epidemic. What's the impact of that been?
It was great. I heard a lot of very positive feedback. The contributors did very well. It was embraced by Diabetes Australia, who have also moved their sort of position, if you like, to accepting the possibility, at least, that conditions like type 2 diabetes can be put into remission.
And since then, do you know if the people that you featured in your doco have stayed with it?
Yes, broadly speaking, they've stuck to it. They've done well. And they continue to keep their blood sugars down. Some of them have put a bit of weight back on again, but they kind of know now what they need to do.
And what are the numbers? How many people are living with type 2 diabetes in Australia?
So diabetes overall, the latest figures I saw were close on 2 million. They reckon about 1.9 million. And that includes about 500,000 people who have diabetes and they don't know they've got it. And to be honest, you also ought to be concerned about pre-diabetes, which is where you raised blood sugars, but not yet in the diabetic range. And that's probably up to a third of Australians over the age of 40 have pre-diabetes.
Diabetes can have such devastating consequences on our health. Can you give us some idea of what those are?
Having type 2 diabetes, indeed, diabetes doubles your risk of dementia. It doubles your risk of heart disease. So it increases your risk of an amputation 17-fold. There are a lot of Australians having their limbs amputated every year as a result of type 2 diabetes. I filmed with an Australian surgeon who says that's pretty well all he does now. amputate limbs because of type 2 diabetes, and he finds it very distressing. Blindness, it's one of the commonest causes of preventable blindness, and it's very highly linked to impotence in men and conditions like that. So not a nice disease to get.
So can you give us some idea of how we may, if we lose weight, put our diabetes into remission? Can you explain that?
Sure. So the main reason why people develop type 2 diabetes, there is an element of genetics. I mean, my father had it, so it's not entirely surprising that I got it. But even genetics alone doesn't account for it. Mainly with type 2, it is lifestyle. Now, the main reason you develop type 2 diabetes is because you put on weight around your waist. It's called visceral fat, gut fat. And that then infiltrates your liver and your pancreas. And they stop working as well because they're stuffed full of fat. And when that happens, then your blood sugar control becomes deficient. And that's when you go into type 2 diabetes. But anyway, when you do the rapid weight loss diet, then the pancreas comes back to life as the fat drains out of the liver and the pancreas. And what you actually see is the pancreas reinflates. That within about 6 months, it's back to normal. Your blood sugars will come down much faster than that, but it probably takes about 6 months before the pancreas is restored. And this is kind of amazing news, because certainly when I was at medical school, we were told that diabetes is an irreversible disease, but it does need you to lose about 10 kilos, about 10% of your body weight, something like that, in order to get all that fat out of the liver and the pancreas.
Well, it seems as though you are not going to stop, Michael. This is your crusade. Is this something that you have been driven to continue forever?
Absolutely. I'm feeling more optimistic than I have for a very long time, that the world is beginning to wake up to the benefits of nutrition when it comes to type 2 diabetes.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So is this kind of like This Is Your Life, but instead it's This Is Your Skin, starring Luke Hines?
Tegan's skincare story. So cringe.
Cetaphil, Luke Hines, House of Wellness, take 1. What blows me away is that our skin is our largest organ on our body. That's insane. It can actually spread about 20 square feet. I lived in an apartment in Bondi, smaller than that.
It's really important for me to look after my skin. I like to think of it as a little bit of a raincoat. When I go outside, it's keeping everything in and it's doing its job to protect me from those harmful elements.
You know, the average Korean woman has 12 steps in her skincare regime. 12. Average 12.
I know.
The skin has many major functions, but I think the main ones would be helping our body regulate temperature and hydration. It also helps to keep nasties out of our body, and these would include things like pollution, allergies, and infections, for example. When our skin's healthy, sometimes we take it for granted, but when something goes wrong, when we get an itch, when a rash appears, or it starts to affect our sleep or our lifestyle, then we think about, oh my goodness, it's actually really affecting my mental health. So looking after our skin, prevention is just as important as treating it, because it helps us maintain our physical and mental well-being in general.
I've visited many skin experts in my time, and every single one of them has said you have really dehydrated skin. So I do have to put a lot of extra effort in to ensure that I'm giving it that hydration throughout the day.
I think I have quite sensitive skin as a default, but I've learnt how to irritate it less and less by choosing the right products over the years and by developing good routines. So I've become a lot more attentive, probably research more deeply, and also make decisions based on my own skin rather than just copying what everyone else is doing.
Sensitive skin can be a genetic tendency or a skin type, but some people can also develop sensitive skin over time, and that's termed sensitized skin. Regardless of whether it's a tendency or something that you develop over time, the main symptoms of sensitive skin are skin dryness, flaking, roughness. The skin can feel itchy, and the main issue underlying sensitive skin is a compromised skin barrier function. The skin barrier is the brick wall of the skin, and this is made up of skin lipids, which are natural skin oils that work like glue to stick skin cells together. And this is important to trap moisture and water within the skin and also protect it from external insults so the skin remains healthy. The basic skincare routine that most dermatologists would recommend for sensitive skin would be cleansing and moisturising.
My skincare regime has evolved over time when I realised how important hydration was. Drink lots of water, moisturise the skin, win-win.
I discovered Cetaphil's range, and it's so gentle, but it still is effective, and I used to think you'd compromise on one or the other.
I like to use good quality products, but not necessarily the most expensive ones. I've tried many products in the past, but I've found that, it's often just those really trustworthy brands that have been around for years that are the ones that I tend to stick to.
When using a cleanser, choose soap-free wash because soaps can dry and irritate the skin. Follow on with moisturising because moisturising is important to replace the natural skin oils that have been stripped off in the cleansing process. Also, when you're looking for products, stick to hypoallergenic, fragrance-free, and these would include synthetic and natural fragrances, and also non-comedogenic, and that means it doesn't clog skin pores and doesn't risk acne breakouts. Let's have a look at why you're here today. Know your own skin. My key message is if you have sensitive skin, keep it simple and consistent. Healthy skin is for life.
What I would like to do, and I'm committing to do, is to put aside a little bit of time each day for a skin ritual that I wouldn't normally make time for, or just an extra little step in, my regime to look after my skin and give myself a little self-care moment.
Often life and work and family and all of that get in the way, and I can go a couple of days where I don't kind of cleanse and moisturise like I'd like to. So I'm going to use this month to be mindful each morning and each night to do my routine to build confidence and go strong into each day. Do we cut with these things as well?
Yeah, can we end it?
All right, so let's end it. We did it. We did it in one take. You said I was a one-take wonder.
One-take wonder, Luke.
Guys, look after your skin. Hear it from me.
Heinzie and Sarah doing their bit to get under our skin. Now, skin, it's our biggest organ, right, Dr. Nick?
Well, it actually is. There's over 2 metres of skin. It weighs about 15% of your body. And I know you love the gut microbiome, Jo.
I really do.
Do you know that there's a skin microbiome as well?
That sits on our skin?
Yes, over 1,000 different types of bacteria on our skin.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, I feel a bit weird about that one, but... Well, none of us want to get sick, and if we do, it sure makes you realise that health is everything. But what happens when you can't get better and a serious health complaint refuses to go away? That's the reality for many Australians who want better education and understanding about what it's like to live with persistent chronic illness.
I was diagnosed with a life-threatening chronic illness at 35, and I'm now 51, so I've been living with chronic illness a really long time. I've been bedbound in the last decade for months at a time. I live with a vertigo condition, which means that I can wake up any day and not be able to walk. So my experience is, how can I be with this experience in my most empowered way to be able to express who I am in the world, and also then to make a map for myself so I don't stay in the dark and I don't stay alone in the dark. So that map that I have built for myself about how to live and flourish while experiencing chronic illness, never denying the pain, never painting the world with pink, fluffy rainbows, but how do I find my way? And that map is exactly what I teach people.
You know, medicine and science would have us believe that there's a treatment that can solve anything.
Pretty much in my world, what chronic illness looks like is it can take a long time to get diagnosed, and then even with a diagnosis, it looks like your condition can be managed but not cured. And so in our normal trajectory, we think you get ill, you get worse, and then you get better at the most, but you always are aiming to get better. Whereas in chronic illness, there isn't this end point where you're going to get better 100% and be, a perfectly well person. but that you have to manage this experience of illness over the time of your lifetime.
What kind of emotions might someone have to manage when they find themselves with a chronic illness?
In the beginning, you're a patient in crisis, and so you're sort of hustling from appointment to appointment. And then once you start to understand that this isn't going away, then you go into a huge grief cycle. And in that, you will be resentful. You will be frustrated. You will be irritated at yourself, at everybody else, and there's an emotional overwhelm, and you get stuck in the grief, the hopelessness, and the rage. And there's a process in which you want to be able to move through that, because you can be stuck there for years if you don't find a way through.
What kinds of ways are there to work through those incredibly difficult emotions?
So the first thing we want to do is understand that the story you have been told about how it's over and this is life for now and you cannot have the life that you wanted or that you dreamed of, that story is not true. And this experience that you're having is not the end of your story. So what we want to do is shift that to say, you can have your dreams. It just might look different to the way that it looked pre-diagnosis or pre-being unwell.
You work with people who are living with a chronic illness. What does that work look like? What are the tips that you would share for someone who's watching this and thinking for the first time, I can still flourish while living with a chronic illness?
So the first thing we want to do is understand that wherever you are now is not the end of your story. And we don't have to work out the 50,000 steps ahead. We just need to work out the next right step for you. And then what we need to do is get you what I think of as some badass boundaries so that you can ask for what you need and ask for what you want, but also stop any conversation which is telling you that this is it and life is hopeless now and somehow it's over. There's an erosion of our emotional confidence and our sense of self. So we start apologising consistently for not being able to go to the party, for not being able to lift the grocery bag, but mostly for asking for help or needing help. And what that does is really diminish our sense of self, our sense of value, our sense of connection with each other. So to live with chronic illness means that the physical symptoms that you're experiencing, the treatments that you're experiencing, and the, in many ways, emotional ups and downs that you're experiencing are going to be ongoing. Now, what that means for us is that we need to be in relationship with the experience of illness and navigate it rather than waiting for that moment when we're perfectly well and life begins again. And it also means those caring for us need to understand that it's not just about jollying us up or getting us into positive thinking. That's actually not helpful for us living with chronic illness. We need the support that understands there's lots of possibilities and we're navigating something very difficult.
Winter can be such a fun time of year. Cozy nights by the fire, snuggling in for movie nights. There's so much that you can do, but it's also cold and flu season. So it's really important to know how to support our immune systems to best support ourselves. Having a common cold or flu can really mean missing out on some of your favourite things. I mean, even just keeping up with work and seeing your family can be such a struggle by itself. Armour Force is a practitioner-grade range that is uniquely designed with immune-supporting nutrients and herbal ingredients to help us tackle the winter cold and flu season head-on. Leading the range is the original Armour Force, which is a comprehensive practitioner-designed immune support formula containing andrographis to relieve symptoms of the common cold and flu. Immune-supporting nutrients, vitamin C and zinc complete the package. There's Daily Protect for ongoing immune support, containing vitamin C, D and zinc, zinc to support immune system health, and Wellmune to reduce the duration of the common cold. For post-illness, there's the Recover product, which contains Siberian ginseng to assist your body's recovery, and astragalus, which is traditionally used in Chinese medicine to promote immune defence. There's even something specially formulated for the little ones, Armour Force for Juniors, which contains vitamin C and vitamin A to support immune health. It also contains elderberry and echinacea, traditionally used in Western herbal medicine to reduce cold and flu symptoms. Speak to your healthcare professional for this specially formulated range of immune system support. It's called the common cold, so if you do fall sick, above all, remember to be kind to yourself and the road to recovery won't seem so long.
Dr. Nick, the flu all but disappeared during the pandemic, but it is on the rise again. I feel like it's kind of everywhere. And it seems a lot of people have relaxed their hygiene habits because we're out of lockdown, people are mingling again, people aren't wearing masks, people are hugging. I'm not comfortable with that. And I have to say that the community sort of feels like we're not even thinking about COVID or any of these diseases anymore.
We have to remember, why did flu disappear? It disappeared because we were being careful. We were wearing masks, we were being cautious with our contact. We were sanitising like crazy, and it wouldn't do us any harm to get back to some of that.
Now, Dr. Nick, I know you're a big advocate for exercise in the Keeping Healthy stakes. You clock up the Ks on your bike, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. So this recent study would interest you. It found that stroke survivors who practice a seated form of Tai Chi have greater improvement in joint function and balance after 3 months. This was compared to patients who did the standard stroke rehab.
Well, it makes absolute sense because Tai Chi is this wonderful combination of meditation and movement, and it's really keen on posture. So it activates those proprioceptors, the thing that teach us balance. So it's not surprising to me that it works.
And I love that it's a seated version, so anyone can do it, really.
Yeah. And changing gears completely here, everyone's complaining about the increase in prices of everything, and petrol is through the roof here and around the world. So how about this? A woman in Germany who's fed up with the soaring cost of petrol takes a horse-drawn carriage to work. I can definitely see this working in Melbourne. No way. It saves her about €250 a month, which is around $382. I know you don't mind horses.
I'm going to say, Jack, does everything come back to horses for you? Are you going to pull up out the front like on your own horsey? I worry about how long it's going to take her to get to work.
It's a very good question, and that is the downside. It takes her twice as long, obviously.
Obviously. Well, that's all we have time for today. Jackie, great as always to see you. And Dr. Nick, thanks for filling in for Dars. We'll see you again next week. I'll be on the airwaves with Gerald Quickly this Sunday on the House of Honest radio show. And thanks to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. We'll see you soon.